Welcome to Central News for Wednesday the 6th of November. I'm Harriet Wilson. In today's news, Multiple Birth Awareness Week is currently in full swing, running from the 3rd to the 10th of November. The week sees awareness events held all around the country and aims to better the support available to parents of multiples. The Hamilton Multiple Birth Club has helped one Hamiltonian mother in her journey with twins. Catherine Caddy will be attending an awareness picnic in Hamilton tomorrow and says it is a great chance to join together with other parents of multiples and celebrate community.
So it's a fantastic opportunity to come and meet other families in a similar situation and get to share stories and highs and lows, get advice from new friends and let the kids have a good run around and have a burn off of energy. We may have to postpone tomorrow due to this weather, so all our details will be up on our website.
Justice Minister Judith Collins has welcomed the first reading in Parliament of a bill strengthening the role and structure of the Human Rights Commission. The Human Rights Amendment Bill amends the Human Rights Act 1993 to change the composition, governments, arrangements, functions and powers of the Commission. The Human Rights Amendment Bill will ensure the Commission takes a leadership role in emerging human rights issues, such as disability rights, in addition to its current focus on race relations and equal employment opportunities. Now for our region's weather. Hamilton, you can expect fine spells with a few showers and light winds. Your expected high is 19, with an overnight low of 10. Tauranga, your day will bring fine spells, a few showers and light winds. Your expected high is 19 and an overnight low of 13. Just ahead, University of Waikato librarian Anne Ferrier-Watson. Welcome to Central News on TV Central. A visiting expert from the United States, Eli Nieberger, has said that search engines are killing the library as we know it, as ink and paper makes way for computer screens and handheld devices. Anne Ferrier-Watson, a librarian at the University of Waikato, caught up with me to share how these modern day changes will go on to affect libraries in the future. So how exactly are search engines changing the way that people use libraries?
Well, students are using libraries more than ever, but they're just using them differently. So before I answer that question, what I really want to say is what our library offers. So we have a beautiful state-of-the-art building that's won lots of green awards. We have 200 computers available for students. We have over 70 staff. We have 1 million physical items in our library and 250,000 electronic resources. So libraries are really broad resources. So the way that search engines have changed the way students use libraries is that it's really about quality. So the first thing a lot of students will do is jump on Google, Google being one of the most popular and well-known search engines. And what Google doesn't do for students is filter information for quality. So students, not all of them have the ability to discern what they're finding as whether it's quality information or not. What we then often find, students come to us and say, I've spent hours searching Google and I can't find it. At that point, we say, well, that was the wrong tool for the job. Here's the right tool. Here's the quality information that you need, and they go away rejoicing. So I guess in many ways the search engines can obscure the information that the students really need. Not at all times, and I have to say, for the free web, and libraries actually complement each other and work really well together, but it's about identifying the right tool for the job. And in an academic setting, the library, the university library, is actually 9 out of 10 times the right tool for the job that the students need to do.
What are some changes that you think that libraries need to make if they want to survive going forward?
I'd have to say that the survival of libraries is not in danger. You know, libraries are essential services, same way that sewage is essential, healthcare is essential. So all libraries, doesn't matter what their purpose, they connect people to information, they collect the information first, and they help co-create knowledge. But you know, libraries are really like icebergs. What you see on the surface is actually only a fraction of what libraries and librarians are, and that's the challenge for us, for our industry. We need to change the perception that our communities have, because frequently those perceptions are wrong. So, the visibility factor is the big challenge for us for now and in the future.
So you recently attended a conference for librarians in New Zealand. Can you tell us a little bit about what was discussed?
Well, there was a whole range of information discussed, and those library conferences are always an amazing time to get completely re-energised and amazed and inspired by the awesomeness of the profession. There were 550 odd librarians at that conference, and actually I believe there's about 6,000 librarians in New Zealand. So it's a big sector, but things that came out to me, Penny Hagen spoke about design and the importance of design in the way that we shape our services and our places, so involving our communities. And when I say communities, I mean our users. So not designing a product and then rolling it out to the users and going, hey, does this work for you? But actually getting them on board at the beginning. So that's a change in the way that that we're thinking. So that's one of the challenges. And again, the being visible, be there, be relevant, be personal. That was something that came through in a whole range of different presentations. And Bill McNaught, who's the National Librarian, the head librarian of the National Library of New Zealand, he really hammered home to us that there's a lot of work to do around the being visible.
What are some stereotypes that you think need to be broken down before we're going to see people coming back to libraries or students preferring to use libraries over search engines?
There are three that spring to mind without any effort. That is, one, libraries are about books, and I mean physical books. Second one is, libraries are quiet places. And the third one is that, libraries and librarians are not really the cutting edge. Now, those three perceptions are really, really wrong. We've been, in our library, just as an example, we've been using electronic resources since long before the internet, way back in the early 90s, the late 80s. So, as I say, we have access to 250,000 electronic resources. Libraries are not just about books. Hello, they haven't been just about books for eons. The second issue about libraries being quiet places and shush. When was the last time you were shushed in a library? Were you? And I guess because it's easy to roll that one off. Libraries are bouncy, noisy places as well as quiet places. And our 3 floors of our library, we have designated quiet study spaces where people are concentrating and studying. We have hangout spaces where people can have coffee, listen to music, read the paper, hang out. So that's not really, really true either. The final thing was the cutting edge business. Now, I've been in the library industry for maybe 8 years, and I was astounded when I went to my first library conference at the incredible innovation going on. Librarians are early adapters of everything, early adopters and adapters. Often you'll find that it's the first place, our library is the first place where these new technologies on campus appear. The library tests them out, the library trials them. So including, we were information coaching in online papers back in 1999. That's over 10 years ago. That's nearly 15 years ago. So cutting edge, you'll find it in a library.
For more information on the Library and Information Association of New Zealand, visit their website lianza.org.nz. Coming up next, the Matamata Eyesight. Welcome back. The Matamata Eyesight may cause a few heads to turn since its makeover Hobbit style, but that was only half of the project. The back of the building has been boarded up as workers hammer away to finish the whole transformation, and hopefully the project will be finished by the time of the release of the second movie in the trilogy. Hilary went along and spoke with the art director of the movies.
You worked on the movies as the art director. What input have you had into the Eyesight?
Pretty much the same job as on the movie. It's project manager, art director on here. And basically that's taking the concept plans and the concept drawings and making sure that what we build behind us here looks like the concept drawings. So what we have to do is we have to take all the council regulations engineering and stuff like that, put that up first, and then we've got to make sure we clothe it in a facade that looks exactly like the concept drawings, if not cooler.
And are there council regulations on the actual set?
Yeah, there are council regulations on The Hobbit, but they're not the same because most film sets are temporary structures, so you don't have the same regulations to do with safety and fire regulations and that sort of thing.
What does an art director do for a movie?
The art director on a movie is the same thing. It basically bringing the concept artist's vision into reality or 3D. So whatever the style of what's drawn is, then that has to be the style of how it looks when it's built.
And what are the tricks of the trade? What are the little secrets about the eyesight?
Yeah, most of the time, the main trick in a movie build is that you're building something brand new, but you usually want it to look about 2 centuries old. So, and involved in that are a whole series of things, which is texturing and weathering timber, weathering rock or whatever it is, and also using landscapes and botanics, plants, to crawl vines over things to make them look like they've been there a long, long time. So whatever the movie is, you're actually throwing up a very quick set, but you want it to feel like it's been there for whatever time is required by the movie.
I mean, there must be a certain amount of artistic license involved, but do you feel like you really have captured what J.R. Tolkien was imagining?
There is a lot of artistic license involved, but yes, and Lord of the Rings, it was all new then. But yeah, and I mean, basically we used to refer back to the book a lot. So if you're towards the finish of a set, you'd refer back to the book and see if what you were building felt like what he was writing. And so that's always a good thing to do.
Well, you must know the book pretty well, page by page.
I did actually. I knew it pretty much inside out before I started on the movie, so that was just a bonus.
And you worked as the Green Masters of Lord of the Rings, so what's a Green Masters?
Greens Master basically is in charge of all things earth, trees, streams, rivers, so all the landscapes. So a lot of the landscapes you see in Lord of the Rings are actually real, but a lot of them are actually created, such as Hobbiton. And so anything to do with plants or trees, landscapes or water. So we built a lot of streams, a lot of rivers, we built Hobbiton and moved hills, and most of the time it's actually taking a studio and making it look like an outside area. So, we may be required to create a little bit of the South Island in a studio in Wellington. So they shoot the main part in the South Island and then they come back and shoot the close-ups in studios. So.
Why did you want to do the eyesight?
It's because basically I saw the concept art for it and thought it was a really cool look for an information centre. And it just seemed to me it wasn't tacky, and it wasn't naff, and it would be really cool to do if we could pull it off.
How would you describe your style of work?
Well, it's a difficult one because the style totally depends on what the project is you're working. So you really have to be a chameleon-like in what you produce, in that you've basically got to be able to translate whatever's required. So I don't have a specific style, although I certainly have a leaning towards very organic, which is my speciality.
What do you mean by organic?
Well, like in this case, we've got a building there, and it does have all the fulfilment of council regulations, which is steel girders and fire systems and things like that, but it's very much timber and thatch and stone. So they're all organic things, and they're what used to be used in buildings a long time ago. So it's really nice to be able to recreate that, even if it's not totally real.
How did you get into the industry?
I'm an arborist by trade, so I work with trees, and so I came into it 25 years ago by supplying branches to set builders when they wanted to build trees or build landscapes. And then as I started to supply branches, they then wanted trees supplied, and it went on from there.
What other films have you worked on?
I've worked on a few. Obviously there's Lord of the Rings. I also worked on Frighteners, which was Peter Jackson's film before Lord of the Rings. Heavenly Creatures, I worked on that. And I've worked on other New Zealand movies like Vintner's Luck, and also the initial Hercules telly movies when they were shot in Auckland in 1995, I think.
We will keep you posted on the progress. Just ahead, Insight Endometriosis in the Waikato. If you have just joined us, welcome to Central News. Waikato Insight Endometriosis has been very busy educating the community about endometriosis in the hope of providing better support and understanding about the condition. I caught up with Annette Evans to get some insight on what's been happening with Insight Endometriosis. So tell us about the survey that your team undertook a couple of months ago and what that survey revealed.
Yeah, we surveyed about 550 women and teenage girls, and we just asked them basic questions about what endometriosis is, the symptoms, its impact, how common it is. And less than 10% of the respondents actually had any real idea about those sorts of issues. And we were a bit shocked about that because we've been working since 1999 to raise awareness and improve understanding, and clearly we've got such a long way to go.
And what were some of the most common misconceptions?
Well, they just didn't have a clue really. They didn't understand that, yes, there was period pain involved, but it was quite severe and debilitating. So they had no idea that, teenage girls were taking time off school and study, weren't able to travel, or the fertility issues that came about as a result sometimes of endometriosis. So those big impacts that flow on from, the lesser symptoms, and no idea how common it was, that, it did affect kind of 1 in 10 women and teenage girls, and a lot of them were quite shocked to find out those sorts of statistics.
So after the result of the survey, your team have been very busy out in the community presenting seminars and educating the community. So how have these things been received?
Basically, we need to improve understanding. So the way we do that is to work in the community, so take our message to the community. Things like our EndoWatt program, where we'll go and talk to community organisations or workplaces just to raise awareness and to give just those key points about endometriosis. We've worked also with some medical centres, so with GPs and nurses, so that they better understand treatment options and things like that as well. Also, we do evening meetings where we have guest speakers and topic nights, so we choose a topic that's of interest to women, things like nutrition, treatment options, whatever they're interested in learning more about. So those are some of the ways that we work in the community to raise understanding.
And what are some of the main messages that you're trying to convey in these seminars and presentations?
Well, one key message is just that period pain isn't normal, and I think when people hear period pain, they automatically put this word just in front of it. It's just period pain. But we're talking about, as I said, the pain that's quite debilitating, and a lot of women don't realise that it's not normal, and I get phone calls to say, I've had this for a long, long time, and if we can get that message out, particularly in younger women, period pain's not normal, and to get it checked out most likely causes endometriosis, and if it's left untreated, it can go on to cause fertility problems in the future.
Now, you have a fundraiser coming up this month, so can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we've got a pamper night, so we're trying to attract women to come along and have just a fun night with nutritional products, beauty products and so on, just to have a good pamper. And it's on Wednesday the 20th of November from 6 till 8, and we're just hoping to attract a whole lot of people to come along and enjoy that night and to raise some funds for us so we can carry on doing our community work.
And what are some other ways that Insight Endometriosis hopes to continue to educate the public?
Well, we do our Purple Walk every year, so that will be coming up on the 12th of March next year, our 6th one, so that's a great way for us to get involved in the community and get women to come along and enjoy walking around Hamilton Lake and having some fun. We also have the Waikato Wellbeing Show coming up 25th to the 29th of April, and we're also at the Women's Lifestyle Expo, which comes up in May every year. So we try and get along to these sorts of events where women are going to be anyway, and try and meet them there and tell them a little bit about endometriosis.
Now, endometriosis is often referred to as the silent epidemic. So why do you believe that it is so important to get women talking about this openly?
I think it's a huge barrier to understanding. If women aren't talking about it and they don't hear about it, then how are they ever going to understand what it's all about and its impacts? So until we get conversations happening and women talking about endometriosis and its impacts, nothing's going to change. So while GPs and gynecologists and our organisation have a role to play, it comes down to everyday women just being able to talk and share their experiences to reach others and let them know to go and get those sorts of symptoms checked out.
So on your website you actually have a section which is dedicated to women being able to share their own personal stories. So how much do you actually think that this helps women and why?
I think it's huge. It's the most popular page on our website. Women just want to hear other people's stories and to relate to some of those stories. So we've got a wide cross-section on that website, and we've recently supplemented it with a documentary that we had made specifically targeting young women.
And how can people get involved and support what your team is doing?
Well, they can come along to our Pamper Night on the 20th of November and join in with our other events and activities, and just give me a call if they want information about endometriosis. Invite me along to talk to community organisations or workplaces, all those sorts of things they can get involved with. We also have 82 volunteers, so there's plenty of opportunity to help in all sorts of different ways.
For more information about Insight Endometriosis, visit insightendometriosis.org.nz. Well, that is the news for today. We really want you to be involved, so like us on Facebook and let us know your views. If you have any news, including your own video and photos, go to our website and hit upload. Thanks for joining us. Hilary will be back tomorrow night with more guests from in and around the regions. I'm Harriet Wilson. Have a lovely evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.